Hello and welcome back to Simply Sequoia. I'm Sequoia. Today we're on chapter 38 called Symptoms and Conditions Answered. Now this is an incredibly long chapter. It's like almost 100 pages. So this is going to be a whole bunch of parts. So let's get into what it is. So it says, remember, the same causes can create dozens of symptoms and conditions. Often, these symptoms and conditions receive different medical names even when the health challenges are similar. Take note of the sometimes subtle variations from answer to answer. You don't need to be able to find your precise health concern in this chapter to find answers. Look for the explanation of the closest symptom or condition listed here and combine that with your knowledge from part 1, your brain story, about the foundations of our physical, emotional, and mental health struggles. Find vital healing tools such as heavy metal detox, brain shot therapy, cleanse options, and a guide to brain supporting food in part I think that's 6, bringing back your brain. If you want to take your healing further, this book's companion Brain Saver Protocol Cleanses and Recipes is available as an additional resource. On top of offering over 100 brain nourishing recipes, 9 medical medium shock therapies, an in-depth look at the foods that hold back healing, and a selection of soul-soothing meditations, that book offers supplement protocol support for hundreds of symptoms and conditions, more than there was room to cover here. So now we're going to get into what the symptom and condition is and what it really means. The first condition is addiction, and it says see chapter 8, Your Addicted Brain, which I have read, so you can go back. If you are struggling with addiction, you can go back and find the chapter that I read about addiction. What is ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder? Here's what ADHD isn't. It isn't genetic or gut related. Neither of these popular explanations address the true underlying cause of attentional focus, hyperactivity, impulsivity, or even executive functioning or self-regulation issues. What really causes ADHD is mercury and aluminum settling in the brain's cerebral midline canal, which divides the brain's left hemisphere from the right, along with some additional metals scattered in other areas of the brain. It's the same cause of autism, more soon, although in ADHD the ratio is a little more aluminum and a little less mercury. When these metals take up residence in the midline canal, they block internal communications within the brain. As a result, the brain must adapt and electrical impulses must find new avenues, traveling on neurons that wouldn't normally be used for talking, listening, and other forms of action and communication. This is why you'll often find a child with ADHD behaving in one manner when you're asking them to behave in another. The evolving domestic chemicals that children are up against in today's world are triggering and worsening this condition. You'll find much more on ADHD in the revised and expanded medical medium. That's the very first medical medium book. Which, if you haven't checked out my video, I posted a book review of all the medical medium books, so go check that out. For specific healing support beyond what's offered in Bringing Back Your Brain, refer to the ADHD protocol in Brain Saver Protocols, Cleanses, and Recipes. What's the true cause of ALS? When someone is handed an ALS diagnosis, it often leaves the patient and loved ones feeling hopeless. If this is you, take heart. As with so many chronic illnesses, ALS is only a label, not an explanation. The label of ALS alone, the fear, panic, and lost sleep it causes, is often partially responsible for someone's sudden health decline. Understanding the true cause of ALS brings insight into how it can actually get better, because the reality is that it's not a death sentence. Also, keep in mind that you may get diagnosed with ALS when what you're really experiencing is any of a multitude of other symptoms and conditions that aren't true ALS. Even some of the most debilitating neurological symptoms that mimic ALS may not be ALS. It's unknown to medical communities that true ALS is a viral inflammatory illness caused by a severe infection of the virus HHV6, along with a few other herpestic virus strains that vary from person to person. Just going to underline that. This is one of those rare times when a viral infection is actually present in the brain or brainstem and even sometimes the spinal cord. What makes the disease so severe is that toxic heavy metals, usually including a high level of copper and aluminum, are present in the brain and body at the same time providing potent viral fuel. All that viral activity can affect neurons because the neurotoxins produced by the viruses behind ALS are extremely potent and destructive to the central nervous system, causing symptoms such as muscle twitching, stiffness, numbness, and muscle loss. In many cases, the brain stem can become highly sensitized. The brain can become highly sensitized and less responsive due to inflammation, making symptoms more mysterious and complicated. It's important that people with ALS stay away from the toxic chemicals listed in this book. These brain betrayers tend to worsen ALS symptoms. It's not inevitable that ALS will lead to someone losing control of their body. If you commit to removing toxic heavy metals from your system while avoiding as many chemical exposures as possible, while reducing viral activity with the protocols and techniques in bringing back your brain, and brain saver protocols, cleanses, and recipes, you can finally start getting your health back. For specific healing support, refer to the ALS protocol and brain saver protocols, cleanses, and recipes. And you're going to hear me keep saying that, keep referring to the other book. I have cranberry apple. What's Alzheimer's disease really? See Chapter 36, Alzheimer's and Dementia, which we already read. Go ahead and go check that out. What is anorexia? See Chapter 33 on eating disorders. Again, we have read this chapter. What is anxiety? See Chapter 31. I go into great detail on what anxiety really is. What's the true cause of anxiousness? Anxiousness appears here separately from anxiety because many people walk around feeling extra sensitive and extra anxious without attaching the label anxiety to it. Many people wouldn't say they have anxiety, and yet they do have an underlying sensitivity in the central nervous system that's a precursor to anxiety. If someone is going up on stage for a school play, about to see a friend for the first time in a year, or about to hand in a big project, those are all very natural, explainable, and temporary forms of anxiousness. The same goes for emotional stress, mental abuse, or extreme stress from loss, betrayal, or a broken relationship. Those challenges can fully explain a bout of anxiousness. If, on the other hand, you repeatedly find yourself in everyday situations, such as having a conversation while driving around in the car with friends or talking or taking a walk with family, with extra sweating or anxiousness rising up that you can't explain, this is often an unrecognizable swelling, creating a sensitive central nervous system due to mild levels of toxic heavy metals in the brain coupled with low-grade viral activity. Turn to chapter 31, Anxiety, for more insights. Go ahead and check that out. For specific healing support beyond what's offered in Bringing Back Your Brain, refer to the Anxiousness Protocol and Brain Saver Protocols, Cleanses, and Recipes, which you can go and find on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, or at the library. What's the true cause of arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis, and atheroma? When we think about vascular plaque buildup, we're often worried about the major arteries of the heart, and rightfully so. What warrants almost more of our concern is a buildup within the brain's blood vessels. Larger arteries in the body have more room, so they can narrow for years without causing incident. In the brain's many blood channels, there isn't much room to narrow and still let blood through, so a smaller blood vessel in the brain can become blocked more quickly. Often, when someone experiences a TIA, or a transient ischemic attack, or mild stroke, it is an early sign that fats, toxins, and viral waste are building up and clogging these blood vessels, and that a more severe event could be on the way. This is one very important reason why lowering fats in your diet, keeping your immune system strong to ward off viruses, and reducing your toxin exposure are so critical. You'll hear arguments that only bad fats cause arteriosclerosis. Don't be persuaded by this inaccurate reasoning behind trendy, high-fat, high-protein diets. A diet high in even beneficial, healthy fats can cause arterial hardening, fat deposits, plaque deposits, and blockages inside the brain. For specific healing support beyond what's offered in Bringing Back Your Brain, refer to the Arteriosclerosis Protocol and Brain Saver Protocols, Cleanses, and Recipes. What's really behind auditory processing disorder, or APD? This disorder is caused by toxic heavy metals in or around the auditory cortex of the brain. While someone could experience APD at the same time as hearing loss, APD itself is not a hearing or an ear problem. Rather, metals in the auditory cortex block electricity from entering neurons, disrupting someone's ability to process what was communicated. Exactly where in the cortex those metals are and in what quantity determines how mild or severe someone's auditory processing disorder is. What's the true cause of autism? Autism is caused by toxic heavy metals, mercury and aluminum especially, settling in the cerebral midline canal, as well as other areas of the brain. In autism, larger amounts and proportions of mercury are involved in regions of the brain additional to the midline canal are more saturated, resulting in a more extreme condition. In particular, heavy metals heavily dispersed in the speech, language, communication, movement, and motor control areas of the brain, in addition to the midline canal, are behind the symptoms associated with autism. The variability in autism's severity, that is the autism spectrum, is due to the variability in quantity of metals in someone's brain, how much mercury is present, and exactly where in the brain those heavy metals have deposited themselves. Recently, the diagnostic rate of autism on the milder end of the spectrum has increased greatly, leading us to sometimes forget about the people and families struggling with autism on the severe end of the spectrum. When parents have a child with severe autism and they mention their child is autistic, someone else may assume everything is fine because so many people now are diagnosed with mild autism. What onlookers aren't seeing are the exhaustion, the lack of sleep, the parents not being able to find help, the system not being set up to help parents dealing with severe cases of autism. Parents and family members of someone with severe autism, once they learn the cause, can understand that their child or loved one is dealing with severe heavy metal toxicity. On the other hand, parents and family members of a child or loved one on the lower end of the autism spectrum with very mild symptoms, many of which can't be seen, tend to be less open to the toxic heavy metal connection. Very mild autism allows life to move forward without the grave search and need for an answer. It's that need for an answer that opens the doors to the understanding of what really happened to create autism symptoms, whether mild or severe, injury from toxic heavy metals. If someone with autism experiences tics, spasms, and fatigue, there could be a viral load in play too. See, tics and spasms and MECFS later in this chapter for more specific autism. For more on autism in general, refer to the Revised and Expanded Medical Medium Book 1. If you or a loved one is struggling with a symptom or condition, I want you to know you can heal. And this book is an amazing book to listen to find the real answers. Now that is the end of today's lesson. This is in alphabetical order, so we went through all the A's today. And next video, we will be going into the symptoms and conditions starting with B. Now go ahead and like this video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and send this video if you know anyone who is struggling with any of these conditions and symptoms that I talked about today. In the description box, I will link down below the books that I recommended in this reading and any additional protocols. Thanks for listening, much love, and happy healing.